Hello everyone, hope you're having an amazing day. Today I want to do a new video about databases and custom forms. And the reason why I'm doing this video, even though I already have one, this is an updated version because Wix added a few new things. It changes some. So creating a new collection, it looks completely different than how it looks before. It's still everything, it's there for you to use, but it just might look a little bit different. So I just want to make sure that you if you're following some of the videos that I have, that it's not going to be much of a difference, but at least it's the same process on the tools that you have access to. So let's get started. Okay, so we're gonna start with a whole new website or a blank page. I usually don't start with something that's already there, and the reason is that you see exactly everything from scratch. Now if you already have a website, you can just add the database or the custom form. So in this case, I am just gonna click skip. I'm not gonna name anything, skip here as well. And one of the advantages that you have about using custom forms is that you don't have a limitation on the number of fields that you can have on the form. For example, if you choose to use the Wix forms, you're gonna hit a limit, and then it's gonna ask you to upgrade to something that you pay around $5 or $6 per month in US. Now in other countries it might be a different price, but let's say if you don't want to pay that because you have a lot of forms and you just don't want to get into that monthly price from Wix, then this is the way to do it. Now I usually use the classic editor. I don't recommend using ADI because it's very limited, and Editor X is great, but it's also very limited in some functions or some apps that Wix have in the classic version. So just make sure of that. And also it takes a little bit more time because you gotta create breakpoints, things like that. So we're using this one, and then right here you can select any template you want. In this case I'm just using a blank template. Again, this is mainly because I want to show you everything from scratch, so we're not going to be hiding anything. And as a bonus for this video, I'm going to show you how to create a dynamic page. That way you can use it for different things. Perfect. So you have your page. One of the things you want to do is you have what's called the developer mode, right? And this on the new version still looks the same. All you have to do is go to developer mode, turn it on, and once you turn this option on, you're gonna have these tools available at the bottom and on the side. Now don't be scared by this. This is not that complex unless you start going into code, and even that is very easy to follow. So if you watch some of my videos that I have prior, you're gonna be able to do a lot of things just by following those. So you can just minimize this for now, and then this one as well. You just click here, and now you have your panel. Now what happens is when you turn the developer mode on, there's gonna be an additional field that's gonna show up right here, which is called input. And right here, input is all the tools that you have available to use on a custom form, or to be able to connect them to a collection. Yes, you can use other items as well, but this is mainly the most common things that you're going to need. So we're going to go here on Content Manager. What we're going to do is a form that has multiple items, so that way you can see an example of a little bit of everything. So we're going to go to Collections, and these ones are already there by default. This is not something that you can decide to choose delete or nothing. You just leave it there. It's not going to affect or anything. And then you're going to go to create collection. So create your first collection, right? So let's say in the future you're planning to have, let's say, a members area, or you have something that requires permissions where not everybody has access to specific data. There's something called permissions on the collection, and I'm gonna show you how to get there. In the prior version, you could set up everything from the beginning. Now you have to create the collection first, and then you can go and update the permissions. And with the new version, one of the things that you have to know is they automatically put everything on default to be added by admin. So if you create that collection and let's say you want to display information to everyone, sometimes they might not be able to see it on the live version just because the collection is set on only visible to admin, which is you. So let's get started. And then in this case, we're gonna do something like city. Okay, so we're gonna do like a city recommendation. And this one is automatically created by the system. This is what the name of your collection is. And then this one you can just leave it as multiple items because we're gonna be adding different things like images, text, galleries, and then we're gonna create. Once we do that, you're gonna be able to see the collection right here, and also the title is by default. Now many times you can use it. If you try to rename it, it is possible, but you have to find create another field and make the other field the primary. So for now we're just gonna leave it there, and we're gonna come back to add our items, but first we gotta set the permissions. So we're gonna close this. We're gonna go into the three little dots, and then we're gonna go on permissions and privacy. Now right here, as you can see, the people that can add the content is only the admin, and the admin is also the one that can delete it. So you gotta make sure that if you're gonna have a profile where everybody is gonna be able to upload data, then you have to set this the right way. This example, we want to make sure that anyone can view the content, right? Because what we're gonna do is we're gonna display the content that people are gonna submit to the form. And then who can add the content? We're gonna have it as site member, so that way they need to be signed in. Now if you do site member author, it's gonna be specifically to the person that created that account, and this is actually better if you have membership levels, so that way they don't just have to sign in, but they have to create an account into the website. So that one will be the most ideal one. Then who can delete the content? We can also have a site member author. And then who can update the content? We can just leave it as site member or site member author, which is gonna be the same one. So that way anybody that created that content is the one that can delete it or update it. So once we have our permissions, we can click save. And now we have pretty much our little page right here with our collection ready to go. So first we're gonna go to city recommendation, which that's the name we gave it. And then we're gonna type here one more time. We're gonna add a field, okay? Now you're gonna see this message, and that's because the page hasn't been published. So as soon as we publish this is gonna go away. So one of the new updates that Wix did is that when you go to the add a new field, the place right here looks a little bit different, but it's still the same concept. You have the type that you're gonna decide on what to use. So I'll explain each of them so that way you know how to add them. If you're planning to add just a regular text that nobody can modify, so for example, you want them to submit something and the text is going to be added to the collection, and let's say you want to display that into another page within the website, then you want to use text because nobody can decide the size, font, color, any of that stuff on that text, right? So for the most part, let's say if I'm going to display a phone number, I don't really want them to be changing anything on the font or the size or any of that because I wanted the site to look a specific way. The only place I'm gonna have them or let them have the ability to decide those things is if, let's say, I'm adding a description or some type of resume, then we're gonna use what's called rich content, and then rich text. Those are the two items that you can use to kind of have a more custom text that people can submit. So whenever they submit a form, you can also connect a specific field, which is what we're going to show you shortly, and that way you can have the right content get submitted to the website. So again, text is the most basic. Even if it's a phone number, if you're planning to add phone numbers, I usually just do text. I don't do number because a lot of people have the habit of adding the dash, or they might not necessarily just add numbers, right? So I want to be able for them to not have a limitation on that. So I'll select text. So in this one, we're gonna name the field city name, and then the field key is gonna be created automatically, and this is very useful once you start going into Velo and creating code and doing some more advanced things. But for this case, you don't have to worry too much about this. So we're gonna add. Then the next option, we're gonna use image. Image is when you want to only display one image, and also on our form we're gonna give them the ability to upload only one image. We'll also add a gallery, but we're gonna do it separate. So image, once we select that, this is gonna be the thumbnail. And why a thumbnail? Because we have, let's say, a first page where we have a small description and just like the feature picture where they can see what it is about. So that's the first one that they can see, and then once they go to the next page, it's going to be a gallery. So we're going to click save. The second one we're going to do is, of course, the gallery, and this can be city pictures, and then save. So now we can add more pictures. Now, one cool thing that Wix did is that for the newer version, you're not limited to only 10 pictures. You can do more than 10 pictures when you upload images or when you want to display items. So we're gonna click save now. And then from here, we're gonna add a text, and this one is gonna be something more like, let's say, contact person. So let's say we have a page and each page is assigned to a person. This we can have it like that, or actually to make it more realistic, we're gonna do city name, thumbnail, gallery. We can do actually description already. So let's do description, and instead of text, we're gonna do rich content. Actually, let's do rich text. Okay, then we're gonna leave it as description and then save. So we have the name of the city, thumbnail, which is gonna be the first picture, city pictures, description. Now you can also do small brief, and that one you do can want to leave it as text, just so they don't have to worry about doing the sizes and all of that. It's just gonna be a small description. So we can do small brief or small description, whatever you want to name it. Then what else can we add here? We can add a URL, right? So let's say people want to upload a URL, a link that maybe they want to display a website or a video from YouTube, or I don't know, a form. It could be different things. So we're just gonna name it URL. Now, when you do a URL, you can do a lot of things, but the thing is, people can't just type www dot and then the website. They have to type ht. Let me see what it is. Yeah, HTTPS. If they don't type everything, or if they don't copy the link directly, the system is gonna give them an error. So you have the ability to add a URL, and if you want it to actually work when they click on it, then they have to add the whole thing. But if you don't want to have those problems, but you still have the ability to add a URL, you can also leave it just a text, and they can just add www dot and then the website, but it's not going to be clickable. So just keep that in mind. but you do have the ability to add a URL. So we keep it like that, and then we click save. Then we're gonna add another field, and then we can add a date. So let's say it could be anything from like an event, right? So let's say the city has an event, or there's some kind of like promotion happening that you want to create or anything. You can have a date, and that way there have the ability to add a like a month, day, and year on the page. So we're gonna add this just as a way of like when they submitted. So that way they can record when they submitted that city, right? And then save. And then for now, we're just gonna leave it like that. If we need to add more fields, then we can come back. So you can see they're also being added here. You can also hide them. So if I select this, it gets hidden. And then we're gonna close that. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna create a dynamic page. And this is really cool because a dynamic page is gonna give you the ability to again display multiple items in one single place without having to worry about, you know, creating multiple static pages that are gonna slow down your website. So there's two ways on creating a dynamic page. You're first gonna go here on your collection, and you're gonna find it on this corner right here. So when you click on it, go to collections, find the collection that you want to use. You want to click the three little dots, and it's gonna give you two options: add a blank dynamic page. If you do blank dynamic page, that way you can structure the layout, the design the way you want it to look. If you add just item page, it's just gonna create it based on a template. So you can do either one. I usually do blank dynamic page, so I can completely set it up however I like to. And then that's my dynamic page. Now also, once you added a dynamic page, you gotta remember that it's gonna be here, but it's not gonna show on your regular menu. So in order for you to show the dynamic page on the menu, you're gonna use the add a link, and then you're gonna go to page, and then you're gonna select the page that you want to use. So once you do that, then now you can name it, and then you can name it something like, let's say, CDs, and done. So now it's gonna display on your menu once we have the menu. So we're gonna go back to the dynamic page. We're gonna go to the one that we were working on, and we're gonna start connecting everything. So once we're here, we're gonna add first an image, right? And let's say you wanna display multiple items at the same time, then instead of just adding an image, then we're gonna use a repeater, so that way we can do the small displays before they go to the main page. So that's what I was like trying to go to add an image first. So let's go to this option right here, and we're gonna go to list. So under list, you have what's called repeaters, right? And we're gonna use a blank repeater, and you can select the structure on what you want the page to look like. In this case, we're just gonna use this one, which is kind of like a list, and we're just gonna add it right here. Now that it's attached to our page, we can just drag it a little bit, and then we can go and add a text. And this text can be named something like city recommendations, and then we can do city recommendations. I think that's what we name it. Now again, this is just an example of what you can do. You can do it for anything, so this might not make too much sense, but what I'm trying to show you is how you can add it, and this is gonna work. So you have your title, you have the repeaters, then you have this option right here called manage items, and this is for you to have the ability to decide how many items you want. Now in this case, this doesn't matter too much because we're gonna use a collection, and the collection is gonna display the items that we have there. So we can even delete these two and just leave one, so we can create our design. And then right here on the data set, you're gonna go to settings. It's on read only. Read only means you're only displaying information. Nobody can add a form. Then for our form, we're gonna actually go and create one. So here we have the number of items that we want to display, which is based on the repeater right here. So let's say we want to display 12 items. Okay, and now whenever we add, let's say 50 items in the collection, it's gonna display all those items here. We're gonna add a button also, and this button is gonna be named load more, so that way if there's more than 12 items and people want to see what else there's in there, they can just click the button and it's gonna be named load more. And then we're gonna set up this right here. We're gonna add a small image, and this is just gonna be a what we call just like stack image. It's not something that's gonna be visible, so it really doesn't matter whatever you pick, but just in case somebody's gonna be working on the page, I also want it to make sense, so that way it's not as confusing. So we're just gonna add just a picture of like a city, let's say this one, and then I'm gonna turn this into a design, and I want it to be a circle. Right now it's gonna look like oval because it's not a square, so you can first cut the size and make it a square. I'm gonna do 375. There you go. So now it's a square. You can actually make it a circle, and then apply. And then now when we go to design, we can actually use this one right here, so that way it looks a little nicer. And we can just attach it to our repeater. I'm gonna add a small text, and then on this text right here, we're gonna name it city name. Right, and then we also have, and you can always go back and reference your collection, right? So we have the thumbnail, city name, small brief, so we can add that as well. So we're gonna go here and we're gonna go to text. We're gonna add a small brief, so this can be just small brief. And then we're gonna be adding some dummy content there. And then we also need to add a button so people can go and view more, right? Or view the whole content. So right here we can name it to view more, learn more, or whatever you want to name it. And the design, you can make it as nice as you wish. Again, this is something that you can do it as nice or as cool as you want. Again, this is just an example. So we have a small repeater here with basic information that we need. We have the data set that was added when we created a dynamic page. Now, if you were to add a a data set to a regular page, I'm gonna show you how to do that for the form because I don't want to use a dynamic page. So you see how to do both ways. You don't have to use a dynamic page if you don't want to. You can still display data from a collection. So it doesn't need to be a dynamic page, but I'm just showing you this way because this is also gonna save you a lot of space when it's loading your website. So the first thing is we're gonna connect this image. So we're gonna go to connect data, and right here we're gonna see a few options right here. So first we're gonna select the data set. If you have multiple data sets, then just make sure you select the right one, and here you will have the list. So we'll connect that one, and this one specifically is gonna be the image, right? So we wanna do the thumbnail picture. Now as you can see, it's not letting connect the thumbnail, right? So when we go here and we try to connect the thumbnail, and the other one, it wasn't letting us because we had selected the whole collection. So you gotta make sure that an image gets connected to an image. So let's go here, image source. After we select our data set, then we're gonna find it. Now if it's grayed out, that means that this specific item that you're trying to connect, it's not the right one. So you have to make sure, like for example, you cannot connect an image to a text or vice versa. So that's why sometimes it's grayed out. Also, if let's say on your data set you have it as read and write, you also have to be careful because you don't want to have something that you know, that's always gonna be displaying an item, because technically you're saying that it's gonna display the image, but you can also update the image, right? So in this case, because we're only displaying, we're gonna select, we're not adding any form, we're gonna have it as read only. So again, we're gonna go here, make sure it's connected to the thumbnail. This is gonna be connected to the CD, and then we're gonna go to CD name, and then this is gonna be to the small brief. We're gonna go here, we're gonna find small brief, and then this is gonna be connected to the next page. So now, because we don't have another page here, we're gonna have it created. So we have a serial recommendation, and this is named title, but we're gonna add another one. We're gonna go to collections, and we're gonna add a blank dynamic page. So once we add it, and you could do this from the beginning, you don't have to do it after. So this one, we're gonna name it on the settings. So we're gonna have it like this, and right here we can rename it. CD description, and then done. Now on this one, we're gonna go to settings, and we're gonna delete title, and we're just gonna have it like that, because what we're doing is we're gonna have the picture, we're just gonna have the small brief, and then once we click on that one, it's gonna take us to more information specific to that specific item. I hope that makes sense. So we're gonna go to all, right? And here, this button right here, we're gonna connect it, and we want it to take us right here to CD description, right? Because let's say this is I don't know, Texas or New York or LA, whatever the city is, but we want to know more specifically about that city. So we're gonna close this. So now it's connected. So you can see here, the label is, if let's say in our collection we create a label with the name. So let's say instead of adding the city name, you want to also connect this, and you don't want to add it right here, you can also connect the label to the city name. So whatever the city name is going to show on the button. Now I don't recommend doing that, because many times the text could be too long and the button will get cut, because it will be just displaying whatever the size of that button is. So if the name is too long, it's not going to look good. So we have that. We're gonna go here on our description, and now we can add more information. First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna add a gallery. So let's use let's say this one, showcase. So we're gonna add a showcase, and then on manage media we can actually delete most of it except one, so we'll delete that. So it's only gonna have one image, but that's our gallery. And then we're gonna add another section right here, and then we can have description, do something like this. Right, so we have a gallery, and the gallery, again, don't worry about how many images it has, because it's gonna be connected to a collection, so it's gonna display whatever images we have there. But definitely you want to make sure the size is where you want it to go, so that way it doesn't look bad. So right here I'm gonna have this as city name, and this is gonna be full description, so we can just have it like full description. And this text, doesn't matter what it is, this is just gonna be like a placeholder. And then let's say right here we can change this to watch video. So we have that. You can add again more sections, the more content you add, the more items you need to add on your collection. So we have that. We're gonna go back here, and pretty much we have everything almost completed. The last button we're gonna connect here before we focus on the next one is going to the data set, and then we're gonna click here, and then we're gonna go to load more. Okay, so now it's gonna be grayed out because there's no items. We're gonna go back to the description, and we're gonna connect everything. So we have our data set here, and then our gallery, we're gonna go to connect data, and then right here we're gonna go to city item, right? But because this is a gallery, you're not gonna connect it to this one, you're gonna connect it to the media gallery. So that's the only difference on whenever you connect a gallery versus an image. You do have to select the media gallery. Then we're gonna select the city name, and then the main description or regular description, which is this one, and then watch video. I believe we use a URL, correct? So we're gonna go here, and we're gonna find URL. That's it. Now if you notice, there's a big background image here. If you want to also connect it to something, you can also have a field on your collection that can be named background image, and then you can connect it as well, so that way each city has a background picture. Or you can also just connect it to a thumbnail, and that way it's gonna be all blurry, but at least there's something there, right? So again, you can do literally anything, but as you can see, now you have two dynamic pages, but you can add hundreds of content that can be displayed at the same time. So now let's add content here, so that way you can see what it's gonna look like. And actually, before we add content, we're gonna make sure we have the CDs right here. Okay, that's correct. So we do have it here. Now we're just gonna add it at the top of the menu. So we're gonna go to menu, and we're just gonna add it right here on the header, and right there. And then we're gonna go back to our collection, and we're gonna start adding everything. So right here, city name, we can do anywhere from like, let's say we do Texas, and then the thumbnail is gonna be Texas. Let's say we do, let's do, this one is like a free gallery, and it is copyright free images. Then this one is from Wix, is very limited. In Shutterstock you can buy images. You have a lot more options, but you have to pay for them. So let's say we do Texas. That's the thumbnail. Then we can add a gallery. So right here, once it loads, we can go to add image. You can also add videos. We can do Texas. And in this case, to make it easy, I'm just gonna select a few at the same time and add them. And then the description, I'm just gonna use some dummy text. So there's a website called Lorem Ipsum. I'll show you right now. It's this one, and this is just to use it for getting like a placeholder text. So let me find a different one. I think it's this one. Okay, I want to use the one that doesn't have that much stuff. Okay, fine. We'll use this one. So we'll just copy this text. Then we're gonna go to the description. And if you remember, because we're using rich text, we can add it like that. And then let's say you want to add this with bold. You want to also, let's say, connect this one to a link. You can add it right here. You can do a lot of different things. You can also turn this into let's go here, just click enter, and let's say you want to make this like in order with numbers like that. So you can do different things. So we'll leave it like that. And then on the small brief, I'm just gonna add another small text. So let me go here. Let me go back because this one is very limited. Yeah, that one, there you go. So you can just copy a piece of text, and then we're just gonna put it right there. And then the URL, we can actually do some YouTube videos. So let me go and find a few, and then I can just do this one.
But at least so far, you got most of the information.
Okay. So I just copy a link from YouTube, paste it right there, and then the date, just random date, which is something that we forgot to add on our page. So we're gonna go and add it right now. And then lastly, these two, we don't have to do anything. The system will create it automatically for us. So you don't even have to touch anything there. So once that's done there, we're gonna add another city. So let's say we do New York. We're gonna add a thumbnail, and then we're gonna add, let's do this one, and then we're gonna add a gallery. And again, you can do as many cities. Now you don't have limitations of having to create one, you know, or two different pages just for, you know, one city, and then multiply that by the amount of cities or the amount of items that you're gonna be adding. So that's why it's very cool to create dynamic pages and databases, because you can do different things. So we're just gonna select this, we add them there, and then for the description we'll do the same. We're just gonna copy this, we're just gonna paste it there. Same thing for this. Copy, and then we're just gonna paste. Now what we're doing here, right, is we're adding it directly to the collection, but you can have a form on the page, which is what I'm gonna show you after this. So lastly, we're gonna add just one more city, and we can just do San Francisco, actually San Diego, and then we're gonna do San Diego. and let's just use, and then we're gonna do another one. And we're gonna do, and like that, and then done. Gonna copy this. Again, the only reason why I'm copying and pasting this is because it's gonna be hard to be showing you an example of text for each city. So instead it's just like dummy text, right? So let's do a different month right there. So we have all our items there. So now we can close it, and we're gonna publish this to test and make sure everything is working. So we're going to cease, and as you can see, there it is. So now again, the button is right here is not going to work because we have it set to display 12 items before you need to click the load more option. So you have your image, a small description. So once you click to view more, it's going to take you to the actual page of being able to see everything. Now right now for some reason it's not working, so we're gonna go back and see why the button is not working. So let's go back here to the main, and we're gonna go to all, and we're gonna click this button right here, and we want it to go to CD description. Now one of the reasons why this might not work is because right here on CD description, when we go to settings, we have a name as a title, but remember on title we currently don't have anything, so it's not finding the data, right? So this is a mistake that a lot of people make. I didn't want to mention it in the beginning because usually this is something that most likely you end up doing in the future, but at least now you know how to fix it. So as you can see here, this one is title, right? So the page is trying to find sorry, let's go here. Sorry, we're gonna go on pages. I was on the collection. Right when under dynamic pages and you go to settings, it's trying to find title, and there's no title. So we're gonna delete title, and then we're gonna add a field, and it's gonna be CD name. So now it's gonna be able to find that data on our website. So now we can refresh this. The button was connected correctly, but it didn't find the data. So now that it's connected correctly, when you click on it, it's gonna take you to the actual item. So as you can see, there's the gallery that we added, and the thumbnail we put it as a background, and then you have this, and then when you click on the button, it's gonna take you to the actual video.
Shows you the full name.
See? So now that's something that you can do to display multiple CDs. You don't have a limitation on how many, even on the free account, so you don't have to upgrade to use the collections or dynamic pages. Now what we need to do is, let's say you're trying to build a database of CDs from, you know, let's say the US, and or let's say a specific state, and instead of you having to add all this data, you can have people, you know, submit specific data, and you can create the form so people can help you, and you can approve what data gets submitted and what doesn't. So we're gonna create a form so that way people don't have to send you the data, but they can directly do it from the website. So we're gonna go here on the site menu, and we're gonna use a regular page. Remember I said that you can use dynamic pages or static pages. So we're just gonna use a blank page, and right here we're gonna name this CD form, or upload CD, or CD submission, CD form whatever you want to name it. So we're just gonna leave it as CD form, and I'm gonna put it after, so you can just drag it. So we have our page right here. We're gonna go to content manager, we're gonna go to collections, right? And this is where you could normally create the dynamic pages, but in this case we're gonna go to main, then we're gonna go to add content elements, and then we're gonna go to form dataset, and then settings, we're gonna select CD recommendation, and then it's gonna be as write only because we're only uploading data here, so everything else doesn't matter right there. And now that we have our data set here, we're gonna start adding everything. So the first thing is go to input, and then we're gonna go to text input, and we're gonna add the first thing, settings, and this is gonna be CD name. You can also use under the settings, you can also use this, and then it has CD name, and then here you can change it to write CD name. So, or you can also leave it empty and just use the one on top. It's totally preference. Sometimes to save space, I'll just leave it like this, and even if it gives you a little error right here, it won't affect anything. So you can leave that blank and leave it like this, but it's a total of preference. So we need the CD name. We also need the small brief. So we can just duplicate this, and then we can name this small brief. You can also, if you think this is too small, you can delete that and just go to input and just add a bigger box, something like this. So we can do something like this and do small brief. Okay, and then we also have the picture, which is the thumbnail. So we're gonna go back, input, we're gonna go to upload buttons. We're just gonna add this button right here. We're gonna click on it. We're gonna move this at the top, and let me make sure this is the right size. Okay, and this one we're gonna name it thumbnail picture. So we have that. We also have, once we click on it, right, we have the gallery. So we need to add a gallery and the main description. So we can go here and go to upload buttons. Now we can select a different button, or we can use the same one. It doesn't matter. You can use the same one. And you can also design the color here. Settings, we're gonna do upload gallery. And then right here, you can select the max number of files. So before it used to be only 10. Now you can upload 30 at a time. So you can do the max, or you can set a limit, right? So it depends on what you like to do there. Let's leave it at 15. And then right here on image, you can also do image and video if you want them to be able to upload videos at the same time. So let's just leave it as image. And then right here, again, you have the option to add it on top, or you can just leave it like that. Lastly, we need a small description. So we're gonna go here, and one of the things is you already have, as you can see here, it mentions rich text. This is what I was mentioning earlier, is when you do rich text from here on the form, they have the ability to start like adding the text. You can also make it as big as you like. This doesn't matter too much. This is gonna be just a form, so you can make something like that. And again, you can design it however you like, but at least now you see how it gets done, you know, creating a collection. So we have it like that. We're gonna add a button. I go to the button here, And then on this button, we're gonna name it submit. So this is gonna be submit. And then now we're gonna connect everything. So we have our data set here. The first one is gonna be connected to the data set, and then it's gonna be thumbnail. Second one is gonna be city name, right? And then small brief. Small brief. Then upload gallery, which is gonna be city gallery. And then we're also gonna connect the rich text, which is description rich. And we're missing one item, which is the link for the video, right? So we can go here and just go back to input, and you can use this one right here, and we can just name it URL video or video URL, and then in parentheses you can say add HTTPS, yes, like that. Yep. Before. This is something I like to add sometimes when I create forms, because many times people won't know these things, so they will just start typing www, the website name, or / the video, right? So to avoid these things, I just add this right here so they know they have to copy the whole video. So just make sure of that. This one is gonna be, once we select settings, we're gonna make sure on type we select URL, and then now we're just gonna add the connection for the button, and this one is gonna be connected to submit. Once you do that, you have to add the success message and the failure message. So we click on that one, and then we click on the second one, and this one you can just drag it next to the button, so that way you know it work or it's there's an error. And it's gonna be a little bit kind of blurry because it's hidden, so when the first time you see the website, they're not gonna be able to add anything unless they they're not gonna be able to see this text unless they already submitted. So depending on if it was submitted or not, it's gonna show what error or message of success. So we have that. Now we can click publish, and then remember on our collection we set it to only members or people that created an account are able to submit data, right? So in the future, or if you go back to some of the videos I have, you can see that you can also create an update form where people can go and change, let's say, pictures, change things on their collection also from the website. So because that's a little bit a longer step, I'm not gonna show it on this video, but I do want to show you how you're gonna set this page to ask people to sign up. So we're gonna go here on the page, and then right here we're gonna have this under settings. We're gonna go under permissions, and we're gonna do members only. So we're gonna have it as all members, so that's fine. So whenever you you go to the form, which we're gonna do now, is gonna ask you to sign up before you can submit anything. So we're gonna go to city form, and as you can see, it's asking you to sign up just because of the permission that I selected here. Now you can also set it to password holders, but in this case, because our collection is set to only members can or people that create an account are able to submit data, then if you just put a password, these people are not going to be able, they can fill it up, but it's not going to get submitted. So the permissions right here, we have them as site member author, so whoever that created the account. Now you can always change it to site members, so people that are just logging into the site, right? So you can decide to do it this way. Again, right now, because we only have a basic form, this will matter too much unless you start going into different levels of membership. So we're just gonna click save, and you can leave it the way it was or the way I change it. So now we can click publish. We're gonna go to the page, we're gonna refresh this, and once we're in cities, you're gonna see there's only 3. We're gonna go to city form. I'm gonna sign up, and I'm gonna use they show the little box right here, but because it has a lot of my information, I'm not gonna show this part, but I'm gonna use a dummy email, and then I sign up. So now I'm able to see the form. So now I'm gonna start adding the data. I click on here on thumbnail picture, and now you open another window for me, which again has a lot of pictures and items on my website that I don't want to show. But again, you can just select any image that you have on your computer and then click open. So I added one picture. City name, I'm gonna have it as Georgia, and then small brief, just gonna copy something like here, and then we're gonna upload a gallery. So I'm gonna add at least a few pictures. So I can do this picture right here, and then the URL, I'm gonna do this one too. So I copy paste because I have 3 monitors, so I'm copying from this side. And then here we're gonna do again another one. We're gonna go here. Oh, I closed it by accident. Go here. Have to re-add this again. And then let's do Utah instead. And then gallery. Gotta do it again because I closed it by accident. And then I uploaded all the data, then click submit. So it's gonna be, depending on how many pictures you upload, it might take a little longer to load, but now it gets submitted. So we can go to cities, and there it is. Now, for some reason, if you notice here, the small brief is not showing it. So that means it's not connected. So we're gonna go in view. So we added the pictures, the gallery, this. So the only thing that didn't add, it was the small brief, which I don't know if I added it, but let me go here. Maybe I just didn't add it in. So to avoid something like what I did right now, for some reason I missed this one. You gotta make sure that if it's something that it's important, to make it required, so that way people can't submit it unless it's completed. So you can go and see this actual website if you want, so you can see what we created. So let me drag it right here. So the way you're gonna find this page is just by going to bitso.wixsite.com/mysite26. So when you come, it's gonna show you the form first. Now I'm already logged in, so that's why it's gonna show like that. But you can go and see the cities, and let's go and fix that one just to make sure. We're gonna add a small brief right here. And then another thing I noticed is I didn't add the URL, or maybe I did, but we gotta check why it wasn't working. So let me close this one, and we're gonna go and make sure everything is here connected. So this one wasn't connected, so we're gonna make sure that's connected right there. So URL and then publish. So I want to show you what's gonna happen if you just add www dot, let's say, website, right? It's giving you an error because it doesn't have the whole website. So now what happens if I add the whole HTTPS, then the thing is not on red anymore. So make sure that if you're using the URL field, that you have to add this option right here. So hopefully this helps you a lot in building websites faster, being able to display a lot of data at the same time. And if you have questions, feel free to send me a message. I'll definitely help you out. Or if you want to do a more complex projects, just look at my other videos. You're gonna be very happy. And please subscribe and share the channel. That will help me a lot, and I really appreciate you guys already supporting and watching my videos. Have a good one.